Hi and welcome to Soapbox, the soap podcast brought to you by radiotimes.com. I'm Jonathan Hughes and I'm joined by...
David Brown.
David Brown. Hello, David.
Hello, Johnny. You're right.
Yes, so we are back. Yes. We've been off for a few weeks, but we are back and we are going to be giving you every Tuesday a preview of what is coming up in the soaps, kind of talk about where we're at, what we've just seen, but mainly... we're going to be throwing ahead to the next week in Soapland, which is highly exciting. So we're going to start with EastEnders, I think. Should we start with EastEnders?
Yeah,
it's kind of very still basking in the glory of Dennis's death.
The glory?
The glory of that boat party. I'm never getting on a boat again.
No, me neither. But they seem to, the main side effect at the moment seems to be Whitney being banged up.
Yes.
That's kind of where the...
Yes. I mean, she should never have got on that boat with that knife and that tea towel. I really don't know what she was thinking. This is a lesson, kids. If you murder someone in your kitchen, just run.
It was a terrible plan.
It was a terrible plan.
But unbeknownst to her, she's now ventured forth with an even worse plan, which is to get Gray to defend her in court. Gray is an abuser himself, someone who's no stranger to a bit of psychological and physical abuse.
Yes, that's true.
Defending Whitney against killing a man who was psychologically and physically abusing her.
I think there's a conflict of interest here. Yeah, and Gray's also the only legal person available in Walford.
He mentioned this, didn't he?
Yes.
The other day.
Yeah, but it kind of drew attention to something that I think they probably shouldn't have drawn attention to as being the only legal person in Walford. But
that happens like on all the soaps, doesn't it?
Yes,
because you've got the choppy fringe one on Coronation Street.
Oh, her from The Office.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she defends anybody who needs defending.
She's like the trials of Rosie O'Neill. She has to defend absolutely everyone. That's true, yeah.
Emmerdale's lacking it, though. They used to have Rakesh.
They did have Rakesh, and he was a bit corrupt, wasn't he?
Yeah, Rakesh was the one who was... He didn't have any speciality. He was just...
broad law.
Jack of all law.
Much like Gray.
Yeah.
But as we know, Gray's got more going on kind of behind closed doors. He's coercive and horrible and downright nasty to his poor, long-suffering wife, Chantal. So next week, we're kind of back on that story. Whitney is still in prison.
Yeah, and something's going to happen to Gray, which means that he's no longer with the law firm. He's been suspended.
For being a coercive, horrible, nasty psychopath.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, that probably is cause to lose your job,
His
isn't it?
His demeanour doesn't seem that suited to court, does it? You know,
he
flies off the handle all the time.
Yeah, he does.
You've got to be kind of quite verbally dexterous and emotionally cool.
He's not Rumpole of the Bailey, is he?
He really isn't. No.
So he also is this...
She who must be not obeyed.
Not obeyed, well.
So, yes, and... he gets
in trouble. For Whitney, though?
Well, the fact is then, I think Chantal will tell Gray that he's got to defend Whitney on his own, not represented by his
company.
Yeah. So I think he has to go solo.
That's really not looking good for Whit, because I feel like Whitney's the most long-suffering character in the world. And then this is really not going to alter that perception of her, is it? So it's not looking good. And
it's not looking good for Chantal either.
No.
Because as Gray's stress levels rise, the person on whom he'll be
taking it out
will be Chantal.
I feel like they missed out on the anniversary week, Gray and Chantal, didn't they? They weren't really involved that much. And I think it was... obviously, they couldn't have every single character, but I felt a bit sorry for them because there was even a scene, I think, really early on in the week, because it was one day, 4 episodes, wasn't it? So it was like the same day in Walford being told. But like really early on the Monday, like Gray and Chantal came in the Vic and Chantal said, "Oh, we're off to see a show tonight, so we're not in this." They're like, "Oh, isn't it lovely? It's Valentine's or it's whatever." Like, yeah, Gray booked tickets to see Pretty Woman the musical. We are not going to feature in this week. So it's about time, they had we were back on that story because it has been a bit quiet as well, isn't it, on the the kind of abusive marriage.
Well, for a while it kind of thought that you thought Gray was going to kind of come to terms with his issues.
Yeah, they had counselling and
but then that doesn't seem to have worked by the looks of it.
It's not worked. So poor Chantal. So we should pray for Chantal again. Do we think she's going to be, in the firing line?
Well, I wondered whether they were going to do something a bit more subtle with this storyline and have Gray not be like this century's Trevor Morgan.
Exactly.
But I don't know whether they could resist the temptation.
Also, the message has to be the message, doesn't it? In this storyline, you have to, You have to tell the story responsibly. You have to tell the story truthfully. It is a real life issue that does affect a lot of people, unfortunately. So, you know, even though you could say, oh, it's a retread of the likes of Trevor Morgan and, you know, other soaps have done it, but isn't that the point? You kind of have to tell the same story, because unfortunately that same story happens in real life, maybe.
I think that the only way the story can end is if Whitney gets freed and kicks, you know, like, and is kind of like really happy with Gray, unbeknownst to what he's like. And then Gray gets home having won the case.
Indeed.
But then Chantel kind of kicks him out and says,
oh, yeah,
I'm taking back the power. I'm taking back the control. Yeah.
I'd like that. I'd like Chantel to take the power.
I'm not scared of you anymore.
Oh, yeah. Another many, you know, heard before lines of dialogue. I think we're heading for that. But, you know, that's what we want out of the storyline. And I'm sure that's where we'll get, but slow burn. But meanwhile, poor Whitney caught up in it. Yeah.
Perhaps
yes.
Chantel will attack Gray, and then she'll need legal
representation. Not by him, but he's the only lawyer.
I know.
Where does that leave her?
Enter Rakesh from
Enter
Emmerdale.
Rakesh. I'm back. I've just come down the M6.
I was in the toilet for a long time, which wasn't actually an Emmerdale plot
That's
point.
one for the fans.
Yeah.
Elsewhere in Enders briefly, Suki Panesar discuss.
Well, Suki Panesar is pretending that she's got cancer, we think, in order to keep her family together. But
it seems like that.
Surely Angie Watts is the stuff of local folklore in Walford. Nobody is going to pretend that they have cancer, because everyone knows how this ends with them getting found out.
And didn't they watch like all those clips that came up around the 35th anniversary of like best EastEnders moments ever? It's on BritBox.
I know.
Can't people just watch it?
So
maybe Kierat's going to be like, hang on, this I've seen this. It's 1986.
So these, I always find them slightly wearisome. These
really faking the illness,
fake pregnancy.
Fake pregnancy.
That's always a stand.
How do they think it's going to end?
I know. So, exactly. How do they think it's going to end? No baby, no death.
Well, I think you'll find I think Hollyoaks have done I'm going to pretend to be pregnant, then I'm going to steal a baby when the time comes.
Oh, that's a twist.
So there you go.
Yeah.
What can you tell us about Suki next week? That people are going to get wise to it? Is it all going to come out, or we're not quite sure?
Well, we can't say whether it comes out or not, but Jean definitely has her suspicions.
Yes.
Now that she has seen someone die from cancer for real.
She's no fool.
She's no fool. That's the thing, you see. Jean appears all dotty and nuts, but she's not really.
She's like Miss Marple.
She is.
Yeah, I think she's going to be on the case. Well, let's hope so, because I think Suki needs to, we need to see her true colours.
I'd like to see her true colours, but also kind of see those boys do some proper acting, because they don't really kind of get to do much, do they?
No, and especially, like, initially, they were, like, sibling bants, but now since Suki's come into it, they're just, like, fighting over who's going to make her a cup of tea.
Yeah.
In every scene, that just seems to be it.
It's high stakes.
High jeopardy. Yeah. Let's see who puts the kettle on for Suki next week.
Suki take it off
Suki
again.
literally takes it off again. It's as if they planned it. Any more on EastEnders before we move on?
I think we should move on to elsewhere.
So Coronation Street, we're going to say goodbye possibly at some point. We know he's leaving Dr. Ali.
Dr. Ali, a character who I think has been quite ill-served by the storylines.
I would agree with that. There's been a few kind of, I'd say, blind alleys, pun intended, with Ali. It seemed like they started quite a few storylines that just didn't go anywhere, or they forgot about, or didn't work. I don't really know. He's had like a few false starts, and now the character is leaving.
Yeah.
I think his last appearances are going to be next week on screen.
I think he suffered from a change of producer. I think in the latter days of the Kate Oates era, it was all about the Connors going up against that local gangster who I forgot. Ronan.
Cormac.
Was it? Yeah, whatever.
The family. Truman. Cormac and Ronan
or something.
I can't remember.
Anyway, one of them, the patriarch of that family, ended up impaled on a gear shift or something.
Oops.
I don't know what.
Is it a post?
Something
it was a terrible
like that.
car crash.
It was a car crash, and then Ali did him in basically.
Yeah, he did. He let him die.
But you thought, killer medic.
Yes.
That's the storyline.
Yes. Yes.
And then he didn't really get followed up on. And then he became a bit of a painkiller addict for a couple of weeks.
To numb the pain, he started taking ODing on prescription drugs.
Then that went nowhere. And now he's in some kind of undercooked love triangle with Gary and Maria.
Yeah.
And he's got a really weird mullet thing going on as well.
Okay, David, basically your issue with Dr. Ali is the hair. But the hair has been quite discussed, I think, by fans on social media.
Yeah.
It comes to something, doesn't it, when it's the hair that gets the attention. So maybe the writing was on the bathroom mirror as he's doing his hair, in terms of as the character kind of,
Without Michelle there to kind of keep her boys in order, there's not really much for either of them to do.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So,
what are the circumstances of his departure? What can you tease us?
Well, it's because of this rivalry with Gary and Maria.
And then are they engaged now, Gary and Maria, on screen?
Yeah, because they've had that the best man won conversation.
Yes, but Maria recently did have a bit of a session in the salon with Dr. Ali, didn't she?
Yes.
But he's basically got to bow out because it ain't happening. So, but poor Maria, she's just going to be a knight in shining armour at one point, Dr. Ali, and now that's not going to happen, is it?
Well, she just bounces from bad boy to bad boy, whichever bestubbled,
brooding bearded bloke
turns up. She's with them, so I have no sympathy for Maria.
She should have shady, David.
She should have a chastity storyline.
She should, but I think that ship sailed.
Give up bad boys for Lent.
It's a soap first.
Yeah.
What else going on in Corrie? I see that we've got Ken's imminent departure to Shady Pines, or whatever it's called. What's it called? Sylvania Waters.
It's called Still Waters.
Yeah.
Still Waters suggests that maybe they're dead. Doesn't it? Nobody's causing a ripple.
It's like God's waiting room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's taking a long last wistful look around the living room at number one.
Oh,
I mean, if you cast your mind back to December 1960, Ken...
I'm not that old.
Well,
how dare you?
Those first episodes,
Indeed.
when Ken was a snobby student turning his nose up at bottles of sauce on the dining room table and buttered bread.
To get out of that life, could he?
It's taken him nearly 60 years to realise his dream, and now that it's happening, he's all mournful about it.
He doesn't know what he wants.
No.
Doesn't know what he wants.
He's off with Claudia to Shady Pines. And
Shady Pines was the nursing home in the Golden Girls.
It was, yeah, Sophia's.
For people who don't know what we're saying.
Yeah.
So that's our frame of reference.
Yeah, and he's going to run into Norris and Frida. But I was thinking, wouldn't it have been good if Stephanie Cole would have still have been in the cast? Because she could have joined them and it would have been like Waiting for God.
Oh my gosh, that would be excellent.
Yeah.
There's still time.
No, she's dead. She's the character.
The character's dead.
Yeah.
She's not waiting for God anymore.
No, she's met him.
Oh, maybe it's So Haunt Me meets Waiting for God.
So Haunt Me.
Other thing, just to mention, the chicken death recently in Corrie with Jeff and Yasmin really, really upset a lot of people. I would say upset people more than when Yasmin got locked in that box.
Yeah, I was traumatised by it. But if you think about it, Jeff, he must be very skilled because he managed to kill, pluck, cook, serve a chicken.
And did like sides as well, like salad and veg.
In the time that Yasmin was taking a nap.
How long was that nap?
I don't know. And we've had on very good authority this morning that chickens which have been bred for laying eggs aren't the tastiest meal, that there's no kind of real meat on them. So Yasmin was going, oh, it's so tender and it's gorgeous.
Yeah, but she spat it out quite a lot. I think
only when she found out that it was Charlotte Bronte.
I have a theory that because she's so scared of Jeff, she pretended she liked it.
Oh,
and actually she was like, what's up with this chicken?
Yeah.
This is disgusting. But, my coercive husband's going to really kick off if I don't like it. So I think she was almost relieved that she could then go have cause to hate it.
That wasn't a look of relief.
No relief for Yasmin at all, I don't think ever. So going forward, we've got Alia. So she is on the case. I think Alia is really starting to suspect all is not well. She doesn't like Jeff anyway. But I think there's going to be some twists coming up towards the end of next week with Alia kind of getting more suspicious of Jeff and hopefully having some evidence to show to Yasmin, look, this man is a chicken murdering, box locking maniac.
But could it also be down to these reviews of the restaurant? Alia's getting bad crits from Jeff, basically.
It's basically food wars.
Food wars.
Food wars.
It is by far the most compelling storyline on the show at the moment.
I agree. And
until Ken moves into the retirement home
with the spirit of Stephanie Cole.
Yeah.
Also, we should just mention on Corrie that James Bailey storyline is going to be very big next week. He's going to be outed into the public. He, in the fiction of the show, is a star football player, and he is like, the next big thing. He's like the next Harry Kane or whatever. And he's obviously in the closet because he doesn't want to be publicly gay and a footballer because he thinks that's just not going to go well. So this is kind of what Corrie had been promising for almost a year since the Baileys were introduced, like last spring, that they're going to explore homophobia in the football industry. So we're kind of going to get to that next week. So it'll be interesting to see kind of what happens.
Have they got the charisma to pull it off?
Well,
the Baileys.
Let's see. I mean, it's been, I don't know. I'm not sure. I feel like...
I don't find them that convincing.
No, I love Aggie. I think she kind of holds...
Aggie is carrying it for me.
Yeah, and I think she's a big part of how this story goes as well. But we'll see. Let's just say we'll see. But that is a big plot next week.
Yeah.
Emmerdale, we've got... The big thing really is Dodgy Copper D.I. Malone, who arrives on screen in the coming week, what we're watching this week, but week commencing the 9th of March. He is kind of the new... big bad. He's like this corrupt cop from Will's past.
Played by Mark Womack.
Yeah, professional TV cop Mark Womack. So we were talking about this earlier. He starred in a BBC One cop show.
It was ITV, I think.
Was it?
Liverpool One.
Oh, do you know what? Mersey Beat and
that
Liverpool
was BBC
One. I get those two confused. They were like similar kind of cop shows set in Liverpool. But Mark Womack was in Liverpool One.
Yes.
Who else was in that?
Sam Womack. Sam Janis.
Oh, is that
That's where they met.
So Ronnie Mitchell, R.I.P.
Yeah.
Real life married, so royalty couple now.
Yeah.
Yes. So we're going to have a lot about him, big new bad. I mean, the cops in Emmerdale don't get much of a...
well, they usually... PC Swirling's got a lot on his plate.
Well,
he's the only policeman there, and the village is crime-ridden, so it's good job that he's got some backup. But unfortunately, he's corrupt.
He's corrupt, like the horrible man who was... Charity's, abuser.
Oh, you horrible man.
Oh, no. Oh, you nasty. He was horrible. What was his name?
I don't know.
I can't remember his name, but he was horrible. He's Ryan's dad, isn't he?
Oh, is he?
Yeah, he's Ryan's dad because Charity was abused by this copper who.
She
was a teenage sex worker, and he kind of.
And she
said he was going to help her, and he
was at the press at the police event.
Yeah, so he's another corrupt cop in Hotton Police. So, just thank God for PC Swirling that he's around, frankly. So a lot going on there. I think also there's a lot going on with Vanessa. So Vanessa's bowel cancer story, I think, has been absolutely brilliant so far. It's not actually been playing out that long, but I just think it's been great, really truthfully played.
Yeah.
It's come out of nowhere, but that, is what happens when these things occur. Diagnosis you're walking around one day and then the next day you get this news and it's life-changing. I think that Vanessa and Charity, the impact on the relationship so far has been really interesting. Great performances. I think that Tracy's going to find out. Vanessa's very, very I want to keep this private. I want to keep this to myself or just with me and Charity. But Tracy ends up finding out next week. So that's obviously a big gear change in that storyline.
Do we think that Vanessa's going to make it through?
Well, surely, she's got to, but then...
I said that about Sinead on Coronation Street.
We were talking about Sinead, and I didn't think that Sinead...
Bales, that was what that policeman was
Bales,
called.
there you go. Yeah, Bales, boo.
Yeah.
You know what? Anything's possible. After Sinead, and I think that, the truthfulness of that story and the heartbreaking end that it had, it kind of was very brave of the show to do. So maybe. They haven't said. They've just said this is a long-running story. We're going to explore Vanessa's journey. The show has a responsibility to tell it truthfully. So whether they go down the route of, if you get checked and this can be beaten, and people do beat it and come through the other side. However, sometimes, as you saw with Sinead with her cancer, sometimes, you have the very sad
tragic ending.
So I don't know. What do you reckon?
Well, I think it would be quite brave of Emmerdale to having created this fan favourite relationship.
Yeah, it would be the ultimate tearing apart, wouldn't it?
It would be, but would they want to do that? Because they've lost Robron.
Yeah,
in the last year.
Long ago, yeah.
So what would they have? Are there any other relationships in its place?
Well, I don't know.
I mean, we don't really know what Mandy and Vinny get up to in their spare time.
Minnie.
Hashtag Minnie.
You're still convinced they're lovers.
Vandy.
Oh, I'm feeling ever so Vandy.
Well, if they're not mother and son, what are they?
Oh,
what's going on?
I don't know. That's gone very quiet, isn't it? Vandy wise. Okay, well, if vanity are a thing of the past, hashtag Vandy.
Yeah, and okay. I don't really kind of care about Harriet and Will. Hill.
No, Hill. Coira are torn asunder. That's really been flogged that they are not. We are never ever getting back together, as the kids say.
Victoria and Luke, Vuk
and Vandy. Vuk and Vandy are the future. The future. Well, yeah, maybe we'll see. Next week that will come into play. So,
Laurel and Jay, Lay.
Oh, I think they're heading for some kind of fall, aren't they, next week as well?
Archie is.
There is literally a fall. Yeah. And I think Jay finally finds out the truth that, is it Arthur's the bully?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, that was funny when Doug left, wasn't it? And he said to Arthur, you are one fantastic young man and don't let anyone ever tell you any different. I'm thinking, he's just bullied this child for weeks.
Beating his friends. Yeah. And he said, sorry, I won't do it again. Yeah. Well, I mean, he's got to prove himself. But I think maybe Doug will have to get back on that Qantas flight to sort him out, having just abandoned him.
So Archie ends up trapped under a cabinet. A cabinet falls on top of him, and Laurel and Arthur is in the vicinity at the time. So Laurel is left wondering whether she's got a Lionel Shriver. We need to talk about Kevin's situation on her hands here.
I think we do.
But I think Jay does find out the truth.
So that's not really going to seal their romantic reunion deal, is it?
Not really.
Not really. Any other Emmerdale news?
No, I think that's it for Emmerdale.
Okay. Just going to touch upon Hollyoaks.
It's a big week for the Devereaux, isn't it?
So this is the Devereaux dynasty. So basically the Devereaux family were named after a family from Dynasty. And they are delivering on that promise in this kind of crazy but bonkersly brilliant plot buster.
The secret sibling.
So Martine had Mitchell, who was all grown up, and that's her son, and they live together, and he's mid-20s, he's a doctor. However, he doesn't know that he has a twin that Martine gave away as a baby. For some reason, we don't know why, this happened. And her father, Walter, knows. Mitchell doesn't know. And it's all kind of, we must never talk about it. Toby Pharaoh, the good-looking music producer who moved into the village in December, is the grown-up, aforementioned secret twin. He has somehow found out that Martine gave him away and kept his twin brother. He's come for revenge. But Martine and the Devereaux have no idea that their kind of handsome new neighbour is the grown-up son. He wants to kind of mess with them and get revenge. And next week, I think this all kind of threatens to be exposed. We can't say too much, but that storyline is in focus next week. And we do also know that Richard Blackwood, late of EastEnders, is coming in as the long-lost dad. So I think we're going to find out really what all went on with this, the Devereaux dastardliness, and I'm just kind of dying to find out, and I think it's gonna fry your brain.
Do you think this kind of thing ever happens in real life?
All the time.
Well, Johnny, I've just got to tell you that I am actually your brother.
Oh, I knew it. You had the life I could have lived
all these years that we've been working together.
And Kelly from Eternal gave me away.
Yeah.
Right, I'm off for revenge. So that's going to be big. So do watch for that next week. We've been waiting a couple of months for this all to come out. So anyway, tune into that. Also, we're going to give Neighbours a mention because it's the 35th anniversary of everyone's favourite Aussie soap. Now, obviously, EastEnders has just had its 35th anniversary. Were you aware that Neighbours started in Australia within weeks of EastEnders starting in the UK in 1985.
So this isn't the 30th anniversary week, is it, though? That's coming up.
So that is coming up middle of March, but next week, kind of week of 9th of March, it's the week preceding it. But it's all kind of building up to this big week. We've had a trailer, we've had loads of publicity about this big week. In the run-up, next week, I can tell you that Gary is engaged to Prue, played by Denise Van Outen in a genius bit of casting. And that's really not going down well because Prue is this kind of crazy Adina Monsoon, ab-fab, errant mother of Harlow Robinson. She's kind of caught up with this religious cult and she's kind of duping Gary, but they are engaged to be married. But
what's the head of the religious cult called?
The head
Barabbas.
Barabbas.
Do you remember Barabbas?
I do remember Barabbas. I think that's why they've done it. It's like the Children of Barabbas was a 90s storyline, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Fans will know that the head of this cult, the Order, is played by Richard Arnold from Good Morning Britain, who did a cameo last year. Anyway, that's not for here. That's all happening. We've also got Finn, who is, I think, one of the best soap characters in years. Finn was this like evil psycho who then got pushed off a cliff and woke up with no memory of being an evil psycho. And for the last year has been like the nicest man on Ramsey Street.
The Harold Bishop effect,
the Harold Bishop effect. I had no idea who he was. However, Finn's now remembering he was a psycho. And the scene is being set for him to take this crazy revenge in the anniversary week. Next week, there's loads of Finn with the memories returning, and we're kind of thinking, oh, I wish he still had amnesia, and everyone's going to wish that as well. But it's going to be lots of fun. I think if you enjoyed the doom-laden EastEnders 35th, you're going to love what Neighbours have got in store in a few weeks' time. But yeah, next week really is the kind of the entree, the prawn cocktail, the carrot coriander soup, if you will, to the main course coming up.
Cool.
Yeah, so you're going to tune into Neighbours, David?
Well, yeah, I do like a good kind of high concept week. Yeah. So I might not watch it all, but I will watch some of it.
Dip in.
And also my Neighbours years are very much grounded in the 1980s. So
there's going to be a lot of retro.
Some retro stuff in there
that week.
well.
We'll talk about this more next week, but there will be lots of retro fun.
Yeah.
So any other soap business, David?
No, I'm out of business.
You're out of business?
Fresh out of business.
Okay, so we've been discussing the week commencing 9th March, which is next week. Lots of stuff going on. So I hope you enjoyed that. Join us next time. We're here every week, and you can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and wherever else you find your podcasts. Until next time, see you soon.